Rock and roll, but rock and roll. There we go. Yeah, we had that one from the last week.
Test.
Test 1, test 2, test 3. Pick me up a little bit there, Chris. Pick me up a little bit. There we go.
Go. How about me? Am I right?
All right, baby. You guys know what it is. We're coming live and direct to you from North Hollywood, California. My name is Gil. I am the American Cholo. This is American Cholo podcast. I got the homie Boo Boo in the house.
That's right. What's up?
And today we have a triple OG, a 30-year member of the infamous MS-13 gang who has completely changed his life around and actually runs now Homies Unidos in Colorado, Mr. Gerardo, if you will, Lopez, a.k.a. Klever. What's up, Boo?
Hey, what's up, Gil? Thanks for having me, dog. It's a pleasure to be here in your house.
That's right.
Boo, gracias as well, man.
No, it's the wrong one. Hey, is that one? Is that one? I don't know. Is it? I don't know. We're over here partying for a little bit, and I don't know if it's that one. It should be that one. All right, we should be all right. Don't even trip.
What happens when you go live?
That's all you have to press. You press the record, baby. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got some new equipment in the house. So with the new equipment, put that guy looking pretty and sexy right there. He just got done doing about 150 burpees.
I figure I have to get some burpees if I come to the canton now. Pay my respects to your crib, Gil. Have to pay my respects, man.
He was counting them out, man. What's up, Big Klever? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. It's just good to be back in LA and visiting fans and friends.
That's right. But the first thing I gotta ask you, man, are you on the juice, fool?
Oh man. My homeboys, I got one homeboy, my homeboy laughing. He always thinks I'm in the Jews. Pero
you're not.
Pero nah, I was this big, homie, when I was 20 years old in YA. Let's see if I see any YA babies that are with me in YAs back in 95 or 98 or something. Yeah. I was locked up in this place, Centro, California. It was like a drug rehab. And right there, dog, they fed you firme, man. We ate like kings 3-4 times a day. And we had the pig iron weights. And you know what? Sometimes I trip out when I work on my son. Man, how the hell did I get so big back then? And I started to try to figure out that I think it was that vitamin D, homie, because we were out in the sun, 115 degrees, 120 degrees every single day working out. But thank you, it's high testosterone too.
No, but it was also the workout, homie. It was just hitting them weights every day, eating good, and it was every day, homie. That's back then when they used to have weights. Nowadays, you'd be smoked out in there, folks.
So you were bigger when you were younger?
Yeah, probably.
What size are your arms now?
I don't know. I haven't measured them in a minute.
I don't know. You guys kind of like twins, homie.
Yeah. Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hey, the movie Bro, what is it, twins?
Yeah, right.
When I saw him walk in, I said, "Boo boo." I said,
"Hey, I could really see how you could confuse us, man, for sure."
Yeah, right.
Okay, how much shit did you get? Okay, if people are new to Gerardo, we did an interview with him. We will put it in the link in this video. So we did an actual full interview. So today is not going to be a quite exact interview. It's going to be talking about you, obviously, but we're not going to go through the whole the whole thing, right?
Right.
So, but I do want to talk also about how much shit did you get of? Because I have guys that are members to my channel that said, "I'm going to take a shot every time Gerardo says, if you will." He did a Vlad TV interview, a great interview, by the way, not as good as our interview.
Of course,
seriously, if you go watch Vlad TV's interview and you go watch when him and I did it, no, it was so much more loose. It was more loose. It was more comfortable. But yeah, you said if you will. Did you go back and see it, or after you finished it, were you like?
Wait, man. There's a long. I got a long story, but I'll try to make it short and entertaining.
Take your time, fool. You got all the time.
After that interview, my homeboys were hitting me up like a messenger or texting me, "Hey, dog, we're gonna go for some drinks today, if you will." And everybody kept texting me, Holmes. Some girl, "Hey, what's up, man? What you doing this weekend?" Right. If you will. I'm like, what? Then my kids upstairs, "Hey, dad, we're gonna order a pizza. What kind of toppings do you want on the pizza? If you will." I'm like, what the hell? What's going on?
What's going on here?
And then one of my homeboys, "Hey, check the Vlad TV comments." And every time you do an interview, it's like a college paper where you write an essay. You think it's the best interview or the best presentation ever until the professor, tells you, "No, there's like a D, whatever."
Right.
But I started looking at it, and I was like, damn. The first one was like 15 times. Then there was like 30. Then it went to like 1 billion, right? It jumped to 1 billion real fast. So we tried to play the if you will shot game in the first segment. If you go past the first segment, homie, that's like 15, 60 shots right there. I give you props, dog. I'll buy you a bottle of tequila if you could do that.
That's a good one.
But you know what? The way that the if you will thing came about, when I was in court representing myself, facing 48 balas, I fired my attorneys. I started representing myself. And every time when I started representing myself and talking to the judge, every time I would say, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And he would actually stop and say, no, I do not know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean? No, I do not know what I mean. So that's when I started kind of to figure out that I'm actually asking a question. When you're saying, you know what I'm saying, you're supposed to wait for a response. He kept saying no. And then I saw his prosecutor. He used these words such as things in that nature after he started speaking the sentence. If you will, smoking gun. And I'm like, man, this fool's saying the same thing that I'm saying, homie. He's just using if you will. Yeah. So I went back to my cell and I remember reading this book. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, where an unlimited power over yourself, not nobody else. But there was this guy that was in Central Park in New York, and he started mimicking some guy across the field. He had bread. The other guy had bread across the field, and he was feeding the birds. And when he crossed his leg, this guy crossed his leg, and he asked the guy next to him, "Could I get some bread?" And he started getting pieces of bread and feeding the birds too. And during this time, he did it for so long, mirroring this guy in front of him across the park, that the guy came up to him and asked him, "Hey man, do I know you?" You know, he kind of felt that. So I started mimicking what the prosecutor was doing. I started mimicking what the judge was doing.
Yeah.
And when I started using if you will, the judge was kind of looking at me in a whole different thing,
way.
you know?
Yeah.
So then eventually I won the case, right? The case never went to court, but I never had my trial.
Yeah.
And then Vlad hit me up, you know, Vlad hit me up. And it took me about 3 or 4 months to say, okay, you know. Yeah. So when I was looking through the comment section, it said Detective Vlad. It said, this guy's the FBI. I'm like, shit, man, should I even do this interview, homie? Going through the comment section, somebody could really mess with you, dog. It's like a roller coaster ride. You know, I try to stay away from that. So when he was doing that, and I started seeing his method, I knew that at the beginning, he was going to be with me, and in the end, he was going to try to change up on me, trying to gain my confidence. So during the whole thing, I had my defense thing up. And it was somewhat like my day in trial, where everything consisted of, if you will.
It brought you back there.
It brought me back there. But I only heard myself saying it one time, homie. Isn't that crazy? But you know, I know a lot of people talk shit about even people that do the interviews, whoever it is, right? YouTubers or whatever, any of that. But when you look at that video, I think he was really trying to humanize my homies. You know what I'm saying? But it takes a while to gain someone's trust. And I think I broke down my, we had an off-camera laugh where I explained something a certain way, and I didn't do it the same way that the newspaper says. So he kind of laughed out camera, but he didn't say, oh, it wasn't a got you moment.
Yeah.
It was all like, you know, laughing at camera, and then we go on with the interview. But you know what? You know, props to him. He gave me a cool interview. But the if you will thing, we've had fun with it for like a year and a half. Even my homies get on. I think a whole lot of those people are my homies, dog. They say, "What's up with this if you will, guys?" So that's the whole thing about if you will.
But that was also one of your first like interviews. And it was a big interview, so I can understand how you'd be a little nervous on that thing.
Yeah, we know it's a thing where being investigated by the FBI for over 20 years and having my phone tapped 10 or 15 years.
Damn.
And then always twisting up your words. Like, for instance, every 30 days, the feds need an incriminating call to continue the investigation. So that was selling no dope, and it was nothing incriminating. So when I was telling my homeboy, bring 10 pounds of carne asada, they said that meant dope. You know, when I was my homeboy right there saying, let's go eat somewhere.
Yeah, they were just twisting everything up.
They're saying that we wanted to go, you know, we were changing shops of what the drug dealing situation was, you know. But when you're in that situation and you're always on camera, just understand that whatever you say could be used against you in the court of law.
They ain't lying
and
when
that
they say
goes
that,
through
right?
Facebook.
I think I've heard that before.
Yeah. I don't know where.
And it's not that I'm
familiar,
hiding nothing, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I gotta stop saying that. You know what I'm saying? I can only say if you will now, dog. Because then my if you will followers are gonna think that I'm an imposter, homie. You know, so I gotta go with my if you will stuff.
I'd rather hear the if you will. I still haven't figured what the homies know what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't think so. I haven't figured
I'm like,
out
no,
yet.
I haven't quite figured out what you're saying.
You know what I'm
homie.
saying?
Yeah, when I talk to any once in a while, I talk to some homies. A lot don't talk to that, but some do.
Right.
I'd be like, hey, homie, I understand what you're saying. I'm like, just to kind of try to, but from now on, I'm gonna tell them, no, if you will. You need to start using.
You gotta say that. Change your if you wills, homie.
Hey,
You won't beat your don't. It's not a promise either that you're gonna beat your court case. There's a lot more that goes to it, dog. Let's get that straight.
If you will.
Hey, he's gonna start a new trend in all LA. All the homies, hey, homie, you know what's going down right here. If you will, homie, you know, why don't you bring me some? Hey, why don't you bring me some clavo, homie? If you will. They're gonna indict you for if you will.
Oh
fool.
man, dog.
They're gonna say that's Gerardo.
That's Gerardo, man.
We know him.
I was gonna bring some shirts that said "if you will," but we didn't have enough time to print them, dog. But we're gonna have to make some shirts or something and say "if you will."
So let's give it a little bit of your history. Like I said, you guys can still go watch the interview, not Vlad's interview, our interview. You pretty much walked away in good standings from your neighborhood in the late 90s, correct? Mm-hmm. And then you went to Colorado, and eventually you started running Homies Unidos. You started it over there, right?
Right.
And that's when the feds really started pushing up on you. And the actual police officer that was doing that, wasn't that a guy from the Rampart Division?
Right.
And how did that all play out real quick?
So the Rampart crash scandal in LA, it was cops that were framing people with criminal cases. And there was this cop that got caught stealing drugs from his own evidence room and selling it on the streets. And there was so many things of, planting guns off people, hundreds of cases because of the fabrication in the stand got dismissed. But we sued them as an organization in Homies Unidos, and we ended up winning. But they kept harassing me, and this Hura, he went to follow me to Colorado, and they didn't tell the wiretap judge none of this stuff, that he went to go follow me. And, after a few years, there was no dope on me. They couldn't get a case on me, so he ended up framing me with this drug conspiracy case. There was this alleged Central American group that was allegedly slanging, and because they were Central American, he converted them into MS-13 members, and he started planting evidence in the trash in my house, like phone numbers to kind of mirror or be the same numbers as these guys.
Implicate you.
Implicate me, and he would lie in the grand jury too. I mean, you could indict a ham sandwich. That's an old saying.
Wow.
True, so all you have to do is bring my criminal past as a juvenile, and put this MS-13 phenomena stuff in the news, and the grand jury won't indict you. So all the stuff in court really consisted of MS-13 was somewhat on trial, and it was all this phenomena of things that were happening across the country and across the nation. They were trying to say that I was a shot caller. Like, well, where's the evidence and what is the proof that you have? You could talk about murders from every place, but I'm not connected to none of that stuff. Right. And at the end of the day, nothing was that, and they dropped the case. And
but you were fighting that thing for a couple of years, right?
I fought it for 2 years, man.
How many years were you facing?
48 years.
And this is a case that you ended up representing yourself in?
Yeah, I represented myself in
you do that?
federal
Like,
court.
just to sit there and tell your lawyer, like, get on.
Well, in the beginning, the attorney told me, without looking at the case, I could get you 10 years if you roll and give them an information, or take a plea deal, and I could probably get you 15.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't got no information to give, and I'm not taking no plea deal. So in federal court, there's 99.9% conviction rate, and it doesn't really consist of the feds getting conviction after conviction because people losing trial. It's just that the sentencing guidelines are too high. You either take the 10 years or you end up going to trial and you lose, and you get something. So 97% of cases don't go to trial. So my attorney, he wanted to have this good relationship with the prosecution for future bargaining deals, and he knew that the prosecution really wanted this case. So it really consisted of me trying to take the deal, and I said, chale, and I got another attorney, and he filed some good motions, and at the end we were offered 48. I was offered 48 months. Now you see, you get the 48 months, or you risk going to trial. And you get the 48 years. This judge is gonna get you.
That's rough.
And I had already filed
motion. I would take the 48 months.
I'd be like, guilty.
Even if you're not guilty, it's sad.
Hey, inside, homie, you want to take that deal, But I really believe that in a broken criminal justice system, I could have found some. That I was able to find some justice, which is really almost unbelievable to believe. But in my mind, I was gonna be set free.
Did anybody, when you went back to the cell, did anybody tell you, what, you didn't take the 48 months?
Well, you know what? In there, when you talk to somebody about your case, you really don't want to do that. It was kind of myself just pacing up and down my cell when the attorney told me, you got until 12 o'clock today to take that deal. So I'm looking at my cell's right there, dog, and I'm looking at the clock, and it's like 11:55, 11:56, 11:57. I'm like, damn, dog, you gotta knock on the door, homie, you're done. I'm like, damn, homie. And to me, I used to always like Rocky movies. When this one gets knocked down like 14 or 15 times, and I'm like, but I know I got these fools because they didn't want to get on the stand. My attorney would tell me, hey, the feds and this investigator, they're freaking scared shitless. They already got caught lying. If we put them on the stand, they're going to get caught for perjury and even get fired or lose their jobs. You know? Just take the deal. I was like, I don't care if they get fired or lose their jobs. I didn't take the deal. And then the attorney comes back the next day and he tells me, all right, Gerardo, they extended your offer to another day.
They blinked.
That's when I knew, dog.
You had them.
That's when I knew that I had them, you know?
Yeah.
And they blinked. And throughout the whole case, homie, they didn't blink at all. I will go to court because all these things are convictions, like just sealed. They're going to win. Yeah. So in the beginning, when they would take us out, they'll be laughing. They'll be, just shooting the shit with each other. And I started representing myself. I started bringing out the if you wills. I started studying my case because I had 2 years to really mimic these people, go into their world, into their domain, and fight their way. Yeah. And when they saw that I was really making sense in my emotions, now when I would walk into the courtroom, homie, they will all just stare at me, all eyes on me, dog. And that's when I had them. And I'll just sit down and I'll just be they'll be looking at papers.
Yeah.
I'll be looking at my papers too. They're writing stuff. I'm writing stuff too. Right, but legitimately, I was doing it. Yeah. But I was doing it, seeming professional, But it's not for nobody.
So what were you writing on those papers? Just like, they're full of shit. Fuck this judge. Is that what you're writing? Just
if you will,
100 times.
No, it was.
Hey, you're giving his secrets up.
You're giving up all my secrets. No, you know what it is?
I want to see your notes, man.
No, it was a gang of notes, man. Just studying. A lot of stuff consisted of wiretaps. Just where the wiretaps were at, because they were interpreting stuff in English that didn't make sense the way that was said in Spanish.
Yeah.
And my attorney, he was telling, I was like, hey, homie, you don't speak English. Who is interpreting all these calls? Mm-hmm. Well, I got this high school intern doing it. Like, oh man, I'm done. These was gonna fry me, dog.
Yeah.
So that's when I started interpreting my calls and say, they're lying here and they're lying there. They had like 2-minute minimization. The feds have 2-minute minimizations to listen to your calls
before they cut off.
Right before they cut off.
If you say something illegal, then they stay on.
There was like calls that went over 45 minutes, an hour, where my mom was talking to my kids or. Things in that nature. I'm talking to my dad. We're not talking about anything incriminating. Yeah. But man, to beat the feds, you got to have what they call smoking guns. A lot of hard evidence. That there is not gonna beat the case, And then I had the ace of cards, the ace of spades, that this crash cop came to follow me to L.A. and they didn't tell the wiretap judge or nothing.
That he had already had
nothing like that. Yeah. So I had my attorneys, but I still went pro se. For those that don't know what pro se means, is I was still representing myself in court. And he didn't want to put after the 48 months, I went to court, and he didn't want to put the detectives and the FBI agent on the stand. And the judge almost denied every motion, except the motion to dismiss. And that's kind of weird when you don't do the motion to dismiss. But I started writing another motion. I want an appeal for all the motions that got denied. It was the motion to dismiss, the wiretaps, and I started bringing up that he didn't put the detectives on the stand. He was supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And like 2 weeks later, a jailer opened up my door and said, "Hey man, your stuff is on the news." Damn. It was gone. And man, it's a trip. Sometimes I don't say this, but I was reading this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, man, where you start making stuff a reality and really believing in something. Sometimes I used to pack my personal belongings, like law stuff and everything, every night, like the last 2 or 3 months, and just believe that I was leaving the next day.
That's right.
I used to write letters to the judge saying, "I told you the case was going to get dismissed," and I never nailed them. Yeah. But I made myself believe that. Yeah. And sometimes our minds are racing like 100 miles per hour. We're thinking of all kinds of bullshit, mainly what other people are thinking about us, But
I hate to cut you up. I believe I'm going to be as buff as Gerardo. I believe I'm going to be as big as Gerardo.
You're already there. He was already there. He's good. Yeah. He just doesn't have the sleeves rolled up.
I believe.
You need a tighter shirt too, dog.
That's it. I believe I'll be a sexy ass fucking Klever, homeboy, if you will.
If you will, you gotta say that if you will 3 times or 3,000 times.
Hey, for Halloween, you go into the bathroom to the lights. I would say, if you will, if you will, if you will. And this will come
And
out.
I appear, dog. I appear doing some burpees.
Hey, don't tell my wife. Every woman out there is gonna be in the bathroom, if you will. Back to your case, brother. I'm sorry. I
don't want to. Now the homies in there gonna be saying, if you will, if you will, yourself to get out. You know, man.
Oh shit!
Right, and that's what I don't want to. You know, but it was just like I don't know. It was a big mind. Now that set me free, obviously not. But in there, you use whatever little thing that you believe in to keep you alive, to keep you going instead of just breaking. You know, whatever little thing, even if you freaking worship, I don't know, whatever's running around yourself.
Faith you got.
You know whatever. But it was that faith that I tricked my subconscious mind into believing that something crazy was about to happen. And when I start to think about it, I really remember my jefita when I would come home from a night of gangbanging, and I would go in there. She'll be like somewhat, you know, screaming, praying, you know, with tears coming down her thing. Like the emotion.
You know what's funny about that is when I used to come home late at night like that, my mom would be on her knees praying, and I would tell her to be a dick. I would be like, Mom, you can stop praying. I'm home now. And I didn't realize what I was doing back then, but because of her prayers, I fucking made it.
That's true,
you know,
man.
So like, but I was just being an asshole. You know, I didn't even realize I was doing that, you know?
And I talked to some señoras about the subconscious mind, y siempre me dicen, ay, cálmate, no era eso, cabrón. Tu mamá estaba rezando por ti, you know?
Right,
so it goes to every different things, but that's some real stuff, the power of prayer and making it a reality.
Yes, sir.
Well, but there has to be a whole lot of corruption in your case too in order for you to beat it.
Now, you think the feds still have a hard on for you?
You know, what I've learned throughout the years, you know, the feds have mafia tendencies sometimes.
They do, brother.
They don't forget. They don't forget. And in the beginning, you know, when I got out, I called my attorney, and the first thing he told me, he was like, "You son of a bitch, you wrote all those motions against." He was mad that I got out. And he told me, he was mad. He was like, "I can't believe you beat them. You left them with 2 black guys. This doesn't happen. You are wiretapped. Watch what everything you say on the phone. They are coming after you. Keep your head down." So I started really being paranoid, you know, like everybody around me. I went to go live at my homeboy Laffy's house. And when I was living, you know, like in the room or whatever, so I would see if there's cameras in there, you know. I was somewhat tripping, but after a while, I said, you know what, man? I'm going to live my life. If these fools are going to come after me, but I'm not going to be all scamado or all panicado. I'm going to live my life. Right. If you got something on me, we'll bring it, and we fight it out in court. But for me to be paniqueado or constantly looking over my back, it's not gonna happen, you know. And that's just how it is. But there's also a stuff where you have to build up your credibility in the community. So I started doing the violence prevention program over there too, and I started building my credibility. In the beginning, it was because I wanted to do it, but it was also because, well, if I get locked up right now, you guys are saying I'm a straight animal, I'm a monster.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then after doing that, the mayor appointed me to be a commissioner for the city of Denver, which kind of just means that you're working with the city to help build the relationship between the private sector, nonprofit, and businesses in order for them to get their feria faster from the city. And then I got appointed to... there was this DA that hit me up. Hey, do you want to? I'm like, well, I didn't got no information. They're like, no, this is about police brutality. You want to sit on this panel?
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I'll talk about some police brutality. I'll talk about my case.
Yeah.
And there was some attorneys right there. I told the attorney, what's up with that fool? That DA hitting me up. No, we'll just go. The attorneys will be there. And I'm like, okay, let's go talk, you know? So I started explaining my case and how police corruption was. And I get invited all the time to law school. So now I got friends with a lot of attorneys. And then the mayor appointed me to this council committee where they needed a Denver sheriff and a Denver police officer, so they had me interviewing them, you know. So it's somewhat a trip how the tables turned, where there was 22 law enforcement agencies investigating me, But now you got to interview with me, homie, to get if you want this solid talk.
Now, talk about police corruption. How bad was, because you guys were directly affected by the Rampart. They call it scandal, but it was just the Rampart corruption that was going on with those cops. And I remember we had a conversation, you and I was surprised. You told me that those cops really didn't get fired.
Yeah, there was, I believe it was 5 cops. So they all got convicted for, it was some other minor stuff. But there was 5 cops that did get convicted, but the judge overturned their cases because the judge felt that the jury was in so much stress. So 5, they all got off. And check this out: one of them ended up suing the city, and he ended up getting $5 million.
Jesus. Yeah, I always thought that every single one of those cops that got convicted ended up going to jail, losing their jobs. I heard one came out here and it was a bigwig in North Hollywood Police Department. They just kind of split all those guys up.
Nah, well, a lot of them are still there. A lot of them. Well, so out of the Rampart police scandal and other units from the LAPD, where there's been decades and generations of misconduct and corruption, you really only have 5 of those cops on trial.
Yeah, that's great.
What happened to the other ones? Some other ones, they get fired, but what happened to the other ones? If anything, a lot of them leveled up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the code blue, the silence of the code blue, was kind of learned right there doing that Rampart crash scandal with other agencies to, hey, man, if you say nothing, it won't be nothing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They'll put it under the rug.
Right.
And those guys were, they were shooting people without guns. I think the guy from 18th Street was the one that got paralyzed.
He got paralyzed.
They planted cocaine on that guy. They were pretty much planting guns, doing all kinds of, and that was pretty much almost like what the movie Training Day was based on, was their life, right?
Right. I think Denzel was supposed to be my bad. I thought Denzel was supposed to be Rafael Perez, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was kind of his life story, So, and that's just one of many, right? You
of course.
Like me, my story, right? It's just one of many. All you guys, everybody here has a story.
So which one, Colors or Training Day?
Damn, dog. Colors.
Yeah, I'm Colors too. I knew you were my twin. See, that's what
you
we look
learned
like
the
next year.
stilo right there, dog.
Colors or Training Day.
You learned the stilo right there, man.
Yeah.
I think Colors represented the LA gang life much closer to what it was.
Yeah.
Training Day was bad, but Training Day, I think Denzel made Training Day. Denzel was the king.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor, man.
Yeah, Denzel made that. But Colors, especially like I can't speak for the Crips or the Bloods because, I don't know their get down. But as far as the essays go, the gang they had that was multi-mix. You had a white boy, you had Looney Tunes, you had the homies.
21st Street.
Yeah.
You had everybody.
You had the parties with them doing that really reminded me. But I will say this. Colors made gang numbers go through the roof, man. After that movie was out, everybody and their mama wanted to be from the hood.
Everybody, man. Everybody.
Yeah.
How about you?
Colors, man.
There you go.
All day
Yeah,
long.
I remember when I went to ditching parties, man,
that
and people
movie
were
up
watching Colors. That was you're watching Colors and you're drinking Mickey's and Coke 45s.
Oh man!
And that big
and
old
it's-
console TV.
Yeah, and it's
with
playing.
the 10-inch screen.
Yeah,
With a TV on top of it.
Yeah.
right. And the antennas, all like the hanger and shit with the foil paper on top.
Okay, so here on the American Cholo, we say it's Colors. Well,
Yeah.
all right.
It's Colors,
here-
dog.
All day long.
So I wanted to ask you this. You wrote I think you wrote a book, right?
No.
Oh, I saw a passage in something that you said that leaving the gang life was the easy part. I don't know if you said that or not, but how as far as
It was a small documentary that they did about me. Yeah.
So I want to know what you meant by that. That you said
How
leaving
old
the
were
gang.
you? How old were you when you got in?
I was probably about 14 years old.
14?
Yeah.
Here in LA or?
Yeah, in LA, right there on Normandy. So I was born and raised in Normandy and 8th Street in Koreatown. Yeah.
Okay.
I was there. I was born right there in '78. So I was right there in '78 before MS came over.
Yeah.
There were like other gangs right there in the neighborhood first, but yeah, I saw the whole creation of when the homies that was stoners, when
Right.
they started
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
when
we
right
first
there,
started out.
all the way to when they started transferring into instead of the long hair, then it was the bald head and the
So
creased
you were
up.
there all when
Yeah,
when
through all
MS and
the- yeah,
18
through all the-
actually got along.
Yeah.
Right? You were there
Yeah,
through
I
all
was
that
right
and
there.
when all that-
Yeah, I was right there through all that stuff. So when And obviously, you know, I'm Mexican and Argentinian, but I was born in Koreatown. And some people say, no, pues, I hear people, you know. Here it comes, right? Here it comes, right? This vato, he's Mexican. Que, hey, he's a desgracia. He's a Salvadorian. You know, when I got into my barrio, I didn't look at it as a Salvadorian thing or a Mexican. I looked at it as a gangbanging thing.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I never did you know, whenever we went to do whatever it is, gangbanging wise, we never asked somebody first, hey, what country you from? If he was Salvadorian or not, he was gonna get it, homie.
Hey, and when you're busted, you're not asking the home, hey, so where were you born?
Where
you from?
Yeah, where you from, you know? And in juvenile hall, sometimes they get, oh, you're not Salvadorian, chale, you know, but you diss my barrio. I mean, you're dissing my hood. So that's pretty much what it is. And there's, I mean, who is the predominant Mexican gang that people are supposed to get into? And
I'm still trying to figure that out, fool.
Yeah, right.
You know what it is? That's that key warrior at home living at his mama's house. Homie.
So it's pretty much where you were. I mean, if you know, you know, it's where you were about it. And you know what, the homies is never like nobody ever disrespected like Mexico, or nobody ever. It was all respect. About. Nobody even really asks you.
There's a bunch of homies that are like 47 years old. Like, you're from Honduras, or you're from Chile. I got homies from Nicaragua. And really, as a youngster, you're not talking about that. You're talking about the hood. Or you're talking about something else. Brother.
Yeah, and it was feeding me in the sense where, you know, I wear like, you know, when I was in the hood, my Mexican shirts, or, you know, outside my apartment, you know, the Mexican flag and everything. I mean, nobody was there. There was never no trip. I live in the awesome. You know, I'm so lucky, homie, to be able to grow up in a neighborhood where there was so much diversity, different ethnicities, different foods, you know, different races. You know, so I look at myself blessed to be able to have an experience all those different cultures, man.
And the thing is that when you say you're looking for that super Mexican gang that everybody's talking about, right?
Right.
One of the most dangerous parts of Los Angeles, what the area you're from, was MacArthur Park, where you had MS-13, you had 18th Street, you had Rockwood, you had Crazy Riders, and I'm sure you had a bunch of other smaller gangs in there. And that's a big Central American area.
It is.
So all those gangs that people talk about, Pico Union and all that area, that's a big Central American area.
There was a lot of Salvadoreños in all those. The people that we were gangbanging against, they were Salvadoreños there. They were just enemies, you know, from different hoods. And that's just that's just how it was.
The nature of the beast.
Yeah, exactly.
And that'll bring into this something. I'm gonna a shout out to Latin Slant. I went on there last night, and I brought that up. I brought up the thing. Is it me, or does it seem like? And I'm not saying everybody. I don't want the Chicano world, because I consider myself Chicano. That's how I grew up. Right?
I think you should. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, who's gonna tell you no?
Right.
No, but there's people who say, "Oh no," but doesn't it seem like it's the Chicano, Mexican, American ones that always pull that kind of racist card? Because I've never heard a Hondureño like myself say, ese güey es de Honduras.
Yeah.
He's Mexican. Like, no, you never hear that. You never hear somebody from Argentina say, oh, boludo, ese no.
Right.
Those Argentina. You know, he's not Mexican. But it always seems like you always have that. And maybe it's just the loser in the comment section, because in reality, I've never in my life had anybody come at me and tell me no shit like that.
Yeah.
Especially when I was busted or out gangbanging. Ain't none of my homies try, because you're going to get socked up.
Right.
But doesn't it seem, and you're the Mexican American.
Yeah.
Is there like is it like stuck up? What is it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it is. You know, when you see another guy being from a Chicano, you're from a neighborhood, and it's like, you ain't Mexican, you know? Like, what are you doing here? You know, like, yeah, I think it's like that on the streets. On the streets, not in.
But I don't even think it's on the streets anymore. I think it's just on the internet, fool.
Maybe now it's moved to the internet. Yeah, yeah, but no, but like when we were growing up in the '90s, yeah.
Because I mean, I grew up out here. I never really had anybody
racist Chicano.
No, okay. When I first came to this country, I came here 6, almost 7 years old, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I got pushback from other people that were here already, whether Chicano, was people that was born here, and they would look at me like a paisa.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know how to speak English. Mm-hmm. I was in ESL classes, so it was more like you're less than me.
Right.
And I think that was around the whole thing. But in the gang world, and maybe the ones that are saying it never really been from gangs, don't really know that life. Because in the hood world, like you're just saying, ain't nobody. You going banging. Where were
Nobody's
you born?
tripping
No,
on
it's
that.
where you from, homie. What you know what I mean? What gang are you claiming? When you're in jail, same thing.
Yeah.
The homies in the county ain't saying Salvadoreños over there, Hondureños over there, Mexicanos over here. Nah, homie, you from this side.
Yeah,
homie.
everyone's from one side, right?
Yeah, you go to one side. Homie. So I guess maybe it's just the trolls in the comment section.
Well, you know, now
Must be a troll.
now with social media, now you get to hear so many other people's opinions. You
Right.
know,
Yeah,
we didn't
you
have
get to see
social
'em.
media. You only heard the opinion of your certain group. Well, you know, I treat that shit like the party line from back in the days, dog. You call the party line,
Everybody's screaming over each
everybody's
other.
talking shit.
Yeah.
I don't go late at night and have sleepless nights over that fool that was talking shit in the party line. I don't wake up the next day
yeah.
and have sleepless nights. Oh man, these fools don't like me.
Drop the
dog.
location,
Yeah,
bro. Drop the
drop the location. You know, we used to always go that. We used to meet the hyenas at the gas station. You know, and then sometimes I mean, we might have gave each other our fake profile images, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't look like that. Buster, you dog, let's go, homie, go. But yeah, I remember those. Yeah, they all live with the grandma for some reason.
Hey, so why do you think MS blew up the way they did? Was there? I mean, I don't know if you can talk about this. Was there something that there was a meeting and you guys said, "All right, we're gonna branch off," or was it something that it just took off?
Yeah, I think that it was, there was different cliques, and when you have a whole country, like let's say if you were born in LA, you have a variety of gangs to get into. You know, when you come from one country, predominantly you come to the neighborhood. And if you land in that neighborhood, you're Salvadoreño, you're gonna get probably jumped into that neighborhood. So you have different cliques, and then there was a time, homie, after we had our inner war with each other, where the barrio started to kind of die out. But then you started seeing the stuff in National Geographic, where the biggest and most dangerous gang. So the media really ran with that stuff. Then the LAPD, the war on gangs stuff, and they picked, I mean, you always need a villain for the war on gangs. So whatever happened, really, whatever laws were being pushed against MS-13, that was just somewhat the head of the beast. Every other gang was going to fall under that stuff when it's gang injunctions and everything. They just needed that image with the tattoos on the face. And it's funny because I remember seeing the tattoos on the face, and some of these fools were locked up in Salvador. They never even been to the United States, but it made it seem the fear factor that they were living right across the street from you. And then when deportations happened, it's a third world country after the Civil War. It was a U.S. Funded Civil War. And when the homeboys came over here, they were more into the stoner stuff. And then they started to, change identities into the gangbanging stuff. And in Salvador, they also saw the movie Colors, right?
Colores.
They also saw the movie Colors. Colores. Vámonos, Roque. Hey, Roque, el frog, el rana. La rana. El sapo. So they saw this image where the homies were gangbangered out, bald head, and they look just like the guys in the movies. So a third world country where there's no opportunity to really become whatever it is that you want to do, they flocked to all these. So now these guys were the rock stars coming off that plane. Everybody wanted to be like that, and the girls really flocked to it. So they started the barrio over there. But in reality, these guys were from the U.S. because they left El Salvador at a very young age, like at 5, 6, 7 years old. So their families and their whole cultura was in Los Angeles. So it spread from there. And you put media in the mix and you're promoting stuff. Any gang, if you would have done that to any barrio and put it up in a pedestal like that, I mean, it had the potential to be also as big like that. People want to be part of something that's looked at as infamous.
But I do agree 100% with you what you're saying on that. But I also think it's two factors, because two of the biggest Hispanic Raza gangs, which is MS-13 and 18th Street.
Right.
They're both pretty. It's 18th Street, even though it's not, let's say, Mara Salvatrucha, but now it is like in Central America, Mara 18, right?
Right.
I think that how we're talking about people saying, "Oh, you're from you can't you're from this, you're Mexican or whatnot." This is what I'm getting at. I think it's that they would not discriminate on who they're putting in. They would see a different neighborhood and say, "Yeah, bring them on." Where my neighborhood's guilty of this. You're trying to jump a clique and, oh, no, fuck those guys. They can't be from the hood.
Like taggers.
Like taggers.
Okay.
Where I would see MS would be like, nah, hell no. We'll bring these guys into the fold. We will embrace you.
Right.
And I think that, I believe that's also a lot because I know guys that were white that were from MS. I know guys that were black from MS back then. They're all
Asian. We had a cochinita, a couple Asian people.
I think I think what I'm getting to is the discrimination was not in MS where there's other gangs, including my own hood. We were stuck up sometimes. This fools can't be from the hood, or they want to jump in the hood, but they want to bring their name from the tagging crew, and we're like, no, you cannot. Where MS was like, all right, you want to be from this, you want to join this clique, no problem. What do you think?
Yeah, also to a certain extent, you know, sometimes when somebody feels oppressed and you oppress them, sometimes they also become the oppressor. You know, but some of those gates did open up to have different. I remember having 2 or 3 black homeboys, and they were very famous in the neighborhood. I mean, they were like super, and they even spoke Spanish, and it's crazy because the dialect was Salvadoreño.
Because that's what they picked up.
They picked it up.
That was the way that they spoke Salvadoreño. There was like some really loved homies from the neighborhood, and then there was another homie that was Asian. He spoke Spanish too. But yeah, you know, now I mean, if you look at it, MS is like in the Philippines.
Yeah,
MS
everywhere.
is like everywhere, you know. People just, but those gates definitely open, you know, to other people.
I think why is it though? But it seems like MS, not all the times people be like, no, all gangs are the same, and all gangs at the end are all pretty much the same, right? But it seems like MS takes it a lot of times to a different level in brutality, and I'm not talking about gunplay. I'm talking about
machete
like
play.
yeah, they do.
Like,
Yeah, they do.
chop your head off
They
and
really
shit.
do. And they seem like it's always like a group of a bunch of guys that are with their program, and you guys be chopping people. Not you yourself, but you know the hood be chopping people up. Now, do you think that has something to do with the culture of El Salvador coming over here with that?
You know, there's violence in every gang, you know, people stabbing each other.
Well, stabbing,
people,
but chopping fools up and throwing them in Angeles Forest is a different thing, homie.
Right. You know, so there's different things, and I think the kids that allegedly did that, you know, that were allegedly from MS, I think a lot of it consists of the trauma from the Civil War, where they lived in a third world country. I mean, imagine going to school at the age of 5 or 6 and there's just dead people with their
sidewalks,
decapitated, you know, limbs cut off. And over there, you know, the way they fought, you know, the machete came from the campesinos, you know, from over there, where they had the machete. So every time when they were just use it as a gardening tool to take away the branches,
they learned how to use it.
You know,
They
exactly.
still that over there.
So when these guys went to the bus, you know, they always had the machete, so it was somewhat of a fear factor, you know. So when gangbanging started over here in Los Angeles, obviously MS wasn't in the drug trafficking trade, or they weren't getting no feria, so the easiest access for them to have was a machete. But in order for somebody, you just have to really psychologically study someone's mentality of the shit that, is it right? Absolutely not. But the shit that they've gone through in life to be able to do something like that. And when you create an environment like that where there's chaos, how do you think the people that are growing up in that environment or being breeded from that environment are going to be themselves? You know, so that kind of, you know, not trying to give an excuse, you know, for anything, but I'm giving an insight of what my job consists of the work that I do is humanizing people from, not just from MS, but from different bodies. You know, people have gone through some shit, you know, and I think that a lot of these people went through some stuff. I mean, you got people now in different parts of El Salvador with some members from both gangs, MS and 18th Street. I mean, these guys are living in caves away from society, without any mental health, without any, you know, social skills, with all the stuff of it's killed or it's kill or be killed. You know, like how are you supposed to grow mentally or to get some type of help? You know, there's no, even the vatos that came from El Salvador from the Civil War, you know, that did start with the machetes. You have to understand that these were the fruits of the war from El Salvador. They saw all these heinous behaviors and they were bullied and picked on in school. So when they fought back, they saw foods with switchblades or whatever, baseball bats, you know, fighting in parks, and they say, shit, hold on. I remember that campesino on the bus with the machete. We're going to put some stuff out. You know, so this is the way that they fought, and they let out their aggression, you know, all that stuff that you have changed in, and all the shit that you've been through, and not having a family and going to go live with an uncle or an aunt, and you're mad. And these guys, they went to like the Red Cross. There was no step down program saying, you know what, these people need some type of mental help, you know? So yeah, it's sad that, you know, people suffer from that type of stuff, you know?
It's still on the MS thing, but a little bit funnier, I guess. How we switch real quick. What's up with some of the names you guys got, homie? El Matarratas, El Mataviejas, El Esponja.
My brother was just telling me, we were in Venice Beach. We were in Venice Beach, and he was like, man, allá andaban en la pinta con alguien, y al homie le decían el baúl. I was like, ¿serio? El baúl? Why they call him el baúl? No, porque allá en Salvador, you know, there was no room in the car, so they just threw him in the trunk, so they called him el baúl. You know?
El Coca-Cola, you name it. So, you can see something. Esto se necesita para allá llamar, güey. Oh, shit. You fools are infamous for having some crazy names, homie.
All the regular names were taken up.
Hey, man, I guess it was unique or something. I don't know.
Maybe they got so deep that
they ran out of names, dog. There's too many heads.
There's too many heads, too many little this. El piña, el cocodrilo, you name it.
Yeah.
You know I like.
Yeah, no. Well, you know what? There's I'm not airing that, but no, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Pero I guess, you know, when you come from a different culture or something, you know, you're gonna come out with some different names. That's something that you saw over there. Something like, what?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Or like, all right, let's jump them in. Back in the days, I don't do that no more, right? I'm talking about when I was a teenager, if you will. When I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, if you will.
Right. El mamado.
Hey, I was blessed. Hey, I was blessed to choose my own name, Klever. And then after a while, they're like, dog, why they call you Klever, man? You always getting caught, fool. I was like, shit, because I didn't want to be called something weird. I didn't want you to give me my name.
Right.
So how is it now that, I mean, I see you still got love for the homies. How is it balancing that of being the person you are, running Homies Unidos, keeping kids out of gangs or keeping out of strain, but also having ties with your homies?
Well, you know what? In my neighborhood, you know, sometimes it goes deeper in a gang because I was born and raised right there. Like right there, I was there in Normandy and 8th Street this morning. You know, we were eating. I mean, I love all the places, visiting the people that saw me grow up even before when I was the gang. So when I say I got love for my barrio or my neighborhood, it doesn't really necessarily mean gang-wise, but I would never forget, you know, always have love for my barrio. I would never forget where I came from.
Yes, sir.
And there was this guy, his name was Tom Hayden. He was a civil rights activist, part of the Chicago 7. There's a documentary in Netflix that people want to check it out. He was a white Irishman, a senator, that came to the street corner, Normandy and 8th Street, us full of tattoos, and he got us to organize against the Rampart crash scandal. He taught us how to organize because he saw on the news all the shit that was happening to the homies. So if a white man goes into this neighborhood that has no ties to MS-13 and wants to back us up, you know, and back then and say, you know what, I believe that you're human beings, that was never in MS. I mean, what hypocrisy would it be for me to leave my neighborhood and say, fuck everybody, you know, and start talking shit about them. You know, every interview that I do, I never glorify my barrio. You know, I never need clout. You know, I'm my own person. You know, my job is to humanize people. You know, sometimes I don't even take interviews. All the time I don't take interviews. People want to hear, what's the drug thing? What's the drug trade? Because I don't know none of that stuff. And that's not my lane. You know what I'm saying? If allegedly it's happening. I'm not here to say, Simon, que aquí que yeah, that I did this jale or I did that jale. I think that the loudest one in the room is sometimes the weakest one in the room. And sometimes people talk out of the sides of their neck and they get in trouble for that. And that's not me, you know? So I humanize homies in different things, you know, where, you know, I like to do it on a nationwide level where the attorneys from across the country hit me up and they tell me, hey, I have this alleged MS-13 member in my case. can you come on and be a co-counsel and like a consultant, for the case, or like Simon, I'll do it in that level. There was this stuff where I was hit up one time. There was this convention of a gang of federal defense attorneys from across the country that were representing some alleged MS-13 members for capital murder. So they were already found guilty. Now it consists, do they get the death penalty or not? I'm against the death penalty. Yeah. So I went in there and schooled them or did a presentation on how to humanize the gang member, how to build a relationship with this vato, for him not to get killed. You already gave him life, right? Yeah. How could you represent him? So that's my job. That's my jale. And when it consists of things like in the boards that I sit on against police corruption, I talk about the corruption and the misconduct that happens in the barrios, not just against MS homies, but people from other barrios too. Yeah. So I don't, I'm not a spokesperson, or I don't speak for MS. I speak for the stuff that I do as a whole. But when I do that, you don't have to be blind to see what I'm actually doing and trying to help out my homies también in those different levels. I help out homies in different levels. If somebody hits me up and says, hey, Gerardo, it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, my kid needs a toy, or, they're doing life and their kids are going the wrong way and they want me to speak to their kids, homie, I'm down to do that, to give them some advice so they won't fall. Because I don't know any gang member or no matter how high your status is, or whatever organization you're allegedly from, that wants them to be a cellmate with their son. Yes, I don't know nobody that wants to do that. So if they want to hit me up in that case too, when homeboys sometimes hit me up, now I can't help everybody in their criminal cases. I'm one vato, but I could do whatever my workload consists me of doing. And when I see the little homies from whatever barrio or hood they're from, that they need some guidance and they need some help in order for them not to fall into the criminal justice system and for them to become lawyers, for them to own their businesses in order for them to give hollers to their homies, then Simon, I'm not in if somebody asks me advice of how do you get out of a gang or whatever, and they truly want to do that, I tell them to think about it, or do you really want, what are you going to do next? But my main focus is giving you advice, so whatever you're gonna do in life, homie, so you could tell your homies también the same thing. So now you have female vatos getting doing different things. I think that gangs could be legitimized into organizations, homie. But every time when we try the Chicanos or organizations from back in the days, like the civil movements, every time when Raza tries to unite, the government always comes and tries to break us apart, He's Central American or he's Chicano, or they start putting these FBI agents to infiltrate us whenever we try to do freedom. They say, well, why can't you guys stop gangbanging? Why can't you stop killing? Because history has shown it's forever, especially, recently from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when we try to do a movement, they say it's on false pretense, or that we're anti-American, or that we're anti-government, anything to try to break the bond between the homies. And what they consist of is they start to lock up the leaders, dog. And now these homies, the leaders that had Klecha, that were giving the homies some firme advice, now they're locked up as pretty much political prisoners, but they're deemed as animals or criminals, right? Because they were trying to help somebody up.
How do you make somebody humanized, being that you look at their case and you're like, oh, this guy was from a neighborhood I didn't get along with, and then you're looking at him and you got to put that to the side, and look at him like as a human. Is that hard to do?
When you see somebody like that, people think that this guy was just born like that,
Yeah, exactly.
You go and talk to their familia, you go talk to their kids. Who are you outside of whatever you're allegedly accused of doing?
Yeah.
Who are your people? How did it happen? What did you do in grade school? And, I can't talk too much about it's confidential, a lot of the cases that I do, all of the cases that I do, but I think I could talk in the outskirts of it, where I I like to legitimize them and humanize them by who were they as a kid before they joined or this allegedly did this heinous crime. Who were you and where did it start to go wrong? And sometimes you start seeing where there was some emotional abuse, physical abuse, a person that just wanted to belong, you know, a person that was bullied, man. You know, the toughest fool, man. If you really go into his or her background, they went through some shit when they were kids. Joining the gang was like the last step, saying, I give up. And
I need back up.
I need back up. And you join the gang and you meet other people that have these gangster masks on, but low key, they joined the gang because they were going through the same shit as well, you know? So it's about identifying that thing. And sometimes the jury, people went through that shit too, man.
Yeah.
You know, or you start to humanize them like that. You have to take away the gang label, and instead of killer or chancleta or Coca-Cola, or Coca-Cola, it's Jose, Mario. You know, who are they? And this is who you do it.
And I want to piggyback up what you're saying, and that's what it is. We all have that in common. We all have whatever reason we joined the gang, but it's kind of the same soup, just a little bit different flavor, right?
Yeah.
But as far as we start to look at guys that are a little bit older than us when we're in a gang, and we think, wow, this guy has it made. This guy has it, and we don't know that guy hasn't figured it out either. And eventually, we portray a certain gangster that we become.
Right.
And that's how it is. But when we become that gangster, what you were saying, you never lose that. Any real gangster fool, I don't care if he's the biggest killer, I don't care where he's up there in status, he doesn't want his kid to be his cellmate. He doesn't want his son to be. We all do want to break that cycle. Yeah. We really do. And I think we just need to kind of find the glitch. And you're a perfect example of how we can do that, man. I love it.
Yeah, man. Gracias. You know, and a lot of it, I think I became more active into it because before I was just, you know, I came out more of, you know, people saying, well, can we say that, you know, the MS part and whatever. But I started, you know, so people can know that, you know, what is being portrayed, like the last people that were in office, right? The presidency. He was saying that a certain group was good people. They were great people. But then these other people, MS, which he was low-key really talking about immigrants. Yeah. Yes. They're the rapists, the killers, the murderers. I'm like, wait a minute, homie, I'm over here. I gotta go up there and contradict that stuff. Yeah. You know, to whatever little thing, whatever little grain of salt that I could do, you know, for somebody else to see, well, man, you know, I could probably help out in the same way, you know, and start like some type of domino effect too.
And so, Homies Unidos, how did that come about?
So it started in El Salvador.
Really?
Yeah, it was a guy, Magdaleno Rose Avila, who was born in Colorado, and he went to El Salvador. He had this grant. I think it was some type of grant to go study violence over there. Mm-hmm. You know, and then he ran into the homies over there, and it was people from MS and 18th Street. And, you know, he was talking about, you know, stopping the violence and stopping the killings between them. And some of them were down with it. And they started the Homies Unidos chapter over there. And, you know, they had a few, like, workshops, you know, for the homies to work, some jobs. So it was going to be called Homeboys Unidos. But then the girls said, no, well, we're not homeboys. So they ended up at Homies. And then Magdaleno went to Los Angeles, and he met Tom Hayden. Senator Tom Hayden from the Chicago 7, the one that was helping us organize. And he presented him to Alex Sanchez. He's the executive director of Homies Unidos over here in LA. And Magdaleno hit up Alex about Homies Unidos and the work that he was doing. And Alex knew Tom Hayden, and Alex was in the mix of beginning to do his violence prevention work también. So that's pretty much how it started when he met him. And then, you know, Alex hit me up about it, and I was like, I don't want to go to that, homie. But he was an OG from my barrio, you know, my homeboy Laffy también. He hit us up, and, you know, they told us in the beginning. And then they were saying, we were hearing blah, 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 and we got pizza. Oh, fool, let's go eat, dog. Let's go eat, dog. Let's go eat, dog. But during that time, the crack, but then we started, like, doing, like, you know, the stuff that we're talking about right here about healing, you know, in the beginning, we're like, oh, jaleons, you know, bullshit, huh? What is this bullshit? Yeah. But little by little, we started to adapt to it, and we had a safe place to go
That's right.
On Thursday night. So, I mean,
what year was this around?
Man, this was like 97, wow. 97, 98, no? 97, 98.
Wow.
And during that time, the Crash people, what we were doing there, the Crash people were hiding. It was in the basement of a church, and the Crash cops were hiding outside the windows late at night recording us.
Wow.
And they even asked the janitor if they could chill inside one of the closets to hear what we're doing. So they believed that it was a front for gangbanging, you know?
For gang meetings.
So that's what I'm talking about, you know? And that's when we started getting this evidence, and then they will harass us and beat us up for trying to go to the Homies Unidos group. So you were either, if you were from, you say you were from Homies Unidos, when you got stopped by the cops, you're going to jail. You say you're from MS, go ahead, get out.
Oh,
they really had it out for Homies Unidos. And this is what I'm talking about when you're trying to do freedom and organize.
Yeah, make peace.
Right. You're consistently looked at that you're unlegitimized, or it's just a front to do some type of criminal behavior. But that's pretty much how it started.
And then it ended up going to Colorado.
Yeah, so I started a chapter over there in Colorado like 5 years ago. Yeah.
And how many people do you guys have? What do you guys do? I've seen some stuff on your Instagram aside from your buff pictures you be taking over there. And your workout routine, fool.
Yeah, I should have never get my record CHOLO on my Instagram, dog. He's gonna be fucking with me now.
That's J-Lo's brother, G-Lo. His Instagram is literally G-Lo. I said, G-Lo, fool? Really?
Hey, I was talking to my son. They're hip and IG. Man, I'm looking for an Instagram name, man. But everybody has Gerardo Lopez already.
Yeah, G-Lo, homie. That's the new J-Lo.
So I put Klever and G-Lo for Gerardo Lopez. I mean, shit. Clever G-Lo.
Yeah, that's G-Lo right there, fool. But, hey, he's got a fans only page.
Yeah, right.
No, come on, that's Friday nights, dog. Nah.
All right, G-Lo. So,
oh man, dog.
What exactly do you guys do at your program out there? Because I saw some pretty cool stuff, and I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, man. So we got contracts with schools over there, and we get the kids that are going through the stuff that are in the situation before they join that gang. Nice. Or they join a gang, and we tackle those issues that they're going through. And sometimes it's the kid that gets suspended, the kid that's looking where to belong. So when you put that Homies Unidos atmosphere, like when we went to the Homies Unidos meeting on Thursday nights, when me and my homie Mafia, we were kids, you give them a safe haven, and sometimes when a kid enters a classroom and they have this target on their back of getting in fights, doing drugs, getting kicked out, sometimes a teacher, I met some great teachers, but sometimes there's other teachers that looks at them and they're like, oh, hell no, here comes this kid, in the classroom. So right there, the kid doesn't feel belonged. Yeah. And Homies Unidos, when I see them coming in the classroom, as soon as I see them, hey, what's up, dog? How you doing, homie? Because that's what they get in the barrio. Yeah. That's what they get in the hood. Yeah. And if you're doing good or you're doing bad and you have somebody throwing that red carpet at you, you're going to chill there, homie. Yeah, you're going to chill. So I understand that that could be, very pleasuring for somebody, So we give them that stuff all the time. And, I do mediation between kids, so, try to stop the school to prison pipeline, with all that ticket stuff. Wow. So I do mediations. Hey, homie, so what's the problem, man? Why are you guys fighting? Oh, he said something on Instagram. Where's this girl? I'm like, damn. Okay, so we fixed this problem. And then there was this kid that I did like 15 mediations with. I was like, hey, homie, hey, man, I think you know how to run a mediation already. Come over here and sit down with me. Yeah. And I'm doing some mediation with these other two guys that have beef with each other. And they keep staring at homie next to me. Yeah. What's up with him? He's my assistant. I gave him a name. I gave him a title. And the vato looked at me. He was like,
that's right.
Yeah. I'm the assistant. What? He started. He was sitting there like this. All of a sudden,
he was as buff as you, huh?
He's all like, I'm the assistant. I was all like, all right, cool. And then they started asking, well, how could we be assistants?
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So that's that. We're like, well, let's get them to this mediation and we talk about it.
Yeah. Nice.
And then after school, I got guys and girls. There's a line outside my door. Mad. Yeah. They don't have no problem with each other. Like, hey, man, you gave him an assistant job here. What about us? Yeah. You're my other assistant. I start running out of names. You're the secretary. I start running out of names. There was some girl. She was like, shit, I'll just write on the chalk. I'll just run the chalkboard and erase the names. And everybody had a title and everybody had a sense of belonging, and that's what that's about. Give them their stage to tell their stories too.
Yeah.
Now, do you find it that a lot of these young kids have a problem just communicating? And that's what kind of makes the fights happen, just because of lack of communication.
It's lack of communication, sometimes lack of social skills. We live in barrios or environment where somebody looks at us wrong or somebody disses us. Our first thing is the machismo kicks in. And sometimes the way that we only know how to handle it, vámonos, let's do this, let's get the heads. It only takes for somebody to go, ooh, you're gonna let that fool say that to do that. So once you start fixing that anger management and you start fixing the peer pressure part of that and some emotional stuff that these guys are going through, because I tell the kid, hey homie, I don't want you to switch your whole identity, homie. Look at yourself as a 64 Impala, dog. When you're fixing it, you're not gonna get rid of the whole damn car. It's a female Ranfla. It probably just needs some spark plugs. It probably needs some new wheels. It probably needs some hydraulics, homie. Right. Maybe an oil change, maybe some gas. Look at yourself like that. So I don't want you to change everything. Just change a few things, homie, in order for you to continue to be yourself. You can continue to keep your identity. And go tell your homies about that stuff and bring them over here and send them that message también. Now you start, breeding, if you will. You start. I gotta tell my if you will, because the people that say this is not Gerardo Lopez.
They
gotta take a shot. They're saying, "Oh, my bad, dog. My bad to the viewers, man. They're probably taking shots at me like, damn fool, what is this fool getting them to say if you will again?" He said so far, but then it leaves a breathing environment for these kids to graduate, be successful. And I always tell them one thing all the time: you graduated, you got the diploma, don't ever forget where you came from, don't forget your neighborhood, and don't forget the homies that are still there, homie, and go back the same way that I go back. And it doesn't mean criminal activities, dog. It means that, you know what, and it doesn't mean that, you're gonna, you're preaching to these guys to, get out of their, whatever it is that they cherish. It's about, if they have a firme jale, they have a firme lifestyle, they could share all this stuff with the familias, with them, and then we can make a whole firme community where it's thriving at the same time. And and start your business, dog, and get that money, because there's a lot of ways that you could get feria in a firme way without worrying about getting indicted, without worrying about getting locked up, dog.
You can live like a dope dealer and not sell dope, homie.
Simon.
Straight up. You can live like a dope dealer, not worry about the cops banging your shit in. You can live that life. And I'm about to change my life, man. This guy's fucking...
I know, right?
That's right.
Me up.
Shit.
I mean, your house is firme, man. Well, shit, deal saying dope.
This guy's got me wanting to change my life.
You got me wanting to work out now, man. Shit.
He wants to be the assistant. He wants to be the assistant. Hey, man.
Hey, Boo Boo, take a picture of him and put it as your avatar on your Instagram. Catfishing everybody.
Right?
Hey, dog, I always remember Boo Boo's man when he got him to find the gas station. That thing had me rolling, dog. That thing had me rolling.
I'm looking for somebody who does cartoons. I want to do a cartoon on that.
Oh,
that would be
man.
great. She was with the business.
Oh, she was.
She was with the business.
She got down better than most guys. And I'm a little guy, and a lot of big guys, they like to, punk me,
Yeah.
And, man, she stood right there toe to toe. We were just going at it.
They called her Chinga Cholos from Whittier, homeboy.
Oh, man.
The best part is the fucking attendant's locked in that little box, and he's fucking laughing at me.
Oh, man. That was classic, dog. Oh, I was rolling that night. I couldn't go to sleep, man. It was late. I'm like, these motherfuckers, I'm over here watching you, dude. I gotta be up at 6 in the morning. These vatos have me busted up, dog. My subconscious mind went into play, if you will, for those people waiting to take a shot.
I would love to hear her side of the story.
Jesus. Hey, do you guys have any issue getting funding? Do you guys think you should get more funding for stuff like that and more projects like that? How's that work out for you guys?
Yeah, man, all the time funding is needed. The thing that, and not just for my organization, for all the nonprofits doing this work. I mean, imagine how many trillions of dollars, millions of dollars we invest like in wars, If you invest all this feria into the neighborhoods, man, man, you could really start seeing some. I'm starting to see now, you know, with all the demonstrations that happen and all those recent events that have happened the last couple of years of, you know, people starting to throw more money at nonprofits in a firme way, you know. But it's always small stuff. It's nothing. It's nothing that you got to work with the pennies that you get.
Yeah.
You know, you got to really work with the pennies that you get. But I'm old school, you know. When we started Homies Unidos, we started in the street corner. There was no funding. There was no nothing, homie. It was giving advice to homies, you know, just straight from Cora, you know. And that's really how we kept that tradition with us. But yeah, funding is always needed for the work that nonprofit. I mean, imagine there was thousands of nonprofits doing this type of work. You know, there is, right? There is, but with the proper funding.
It's with the proper funding and with the proper guidance. I loved what's his name? King Tone from the Latin Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Credible messengers. You are a credible messenger. I mean, a lot of the guys that work with you are credible messengers. We are credible messengers. Guys who've been in that life and are telling the other young guys, hey, don't go down that route. And definitely, if we had more people like you and more programs like you, yeah, we can. It's never going to end because nothing ever ends. But we can slow it down because there's a lot of intelligent kids in jail, men in jail. There's a lot of guys that could be. Dude, you could have been an attorney, homie. Come on, you took on the federal government and won. So how do we go about reducing gang problems? And what do you think right now is? How bad do you think the gang problem is right now across the United States?
Well, you know, I think the way to reduce the problem is to invest more money into our barrios, into our ghettos, into our hoods, and let organizers beat organizers, man. You know, for the government to stop, you know, locking up our fathers, man. You know, locking up the men from the house. You know, giving. You know, for the barrios to stop being, you know, boiling points or breathing system into the prison system. You know, that's another thing. And trying to find more outlets for sports, for better schools, better education, better jobs, you know, better healthcare, better social services, you know. It takes time to do that. You know, you won't see the change sometimes in 10, 15, 20 years down the road. But every time when you see a politician, what's the main thing that they go against? It's this law and order mentality. We're tough on crime mentality. We've seen that it hasn't worked throughout the years. And every 4 years, once you're getting into something or you're starting to climb the ladder, moving the needle a little bit, then another politician takes over this politician, and now it's the same thing back one where they want to show that they're tough on crime to get their votes, you know? So it's kind of fixing that stuff. But gang banging across the nation, I think a lot of it also consists in social media now, you know, where anybody could be a keyboard warrior, dog.
They gangster with it.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the hood right now to get jumped, you know. Some kids that I work with in schools are like, wait a minute, homie, I don't think you're from a gang, dog. Where did you learn this? So they, like you don't go to the corner to learn that. Now you just go to YouTube, you learn that stuff. You learn how to walk the walk, talk the talk, and you play out these fantasies in schools where there's security, you know, and there's other people. But then it becomes the sense of belonging too, right? But social media is a big, it's a big spreader of this gang stuff. Where the levels of gang banging is, you know, it's hard to tell. It's definitely not the 80s, right? It's definitely not the 90s. The stilo and the lingo has changed dramatically. The gang member has changed dramatically, and there's these other people that are actually with it también. Yeah, of course. Right? There's people that are with it, but yeah, it's just changed, you know, and it almost changes all the time, you know. But you have to continue to attack all those core things that I said that happen in barrios throughout the time. No matter what the changes with the lingo is or what the stilo is, if you continue to attack and attack and attack all those bad things that happen in the barrio, you know, that suppress our people and keep our people down, it's like that. And sometimes our own gente stays down because they don't see nobody around them succeed. So when you start telling them, hey, homie, you could be like a doctor or lawyer, hell no, that is so far out of their mentality. But if I put them into a neighborhood, it's a rich neighborhood, and everybody in that neighborhood is becoming doctors and lawyers. And I drop them off right there for a couple of weeks, a month, and I go to the neighborhood and say, hey, homie, you could be a doctor or lawyer. That homie's going to say, hell yeah, I could. Yes, sir. Because he's around that environment, you know? Pero, yeah, that's my take on that.
So How many social media beefs do you have to stop at your thing? Because nowadays it seems like that's the main fights nowadays. It is because social media. How's that affected your guys' work?
No, well, it's a lot, with the social media stuff, and it's sometimes we're a girl, or this guy said this, or
You didn't like my post.
you didn't like my post. What was that smiling emoji? This was something serious that I put on Facebook. Damn it! And you got somebody in the then you got somebody in the comment section. Damn fool, why that fool laughing at you? It just takes that fool. You're gonna let that fool do that to you? Now, so it's not like in the street corner where if you get punked, okay, it's only 3 or 4 people saw. But now if something happens, you pressure. Now you got about 200 or 300 people that understand that.
And they keep seeing it.
And they keep seeing it and seeing it. And that really goes into, let's take the gangbanging stuff out of there. When you really look at that stuff, sometimes that goes into bullying.
Yeah, of course.
I've heard of kids that as young as 10, 9, 10, 11-year-old take their life. Like take their life at that age, man.
Over social media.
Because it was so serious and everybody was laughing, So it's a dangerous thing for that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that goes on, man. And sometimes even when you think about it, sometimes we were gang banging, Simon, you're from a wrong neighborhood and we got a gang bang. That's why we always thought he's from this hood, we got a gang bang. But sometimes it was over some small stuff right?
But most fights are. Fool.
Yeah.
I was. My homie passed away about a week and a half ago, right? Mm-hmm. And we got together at a fundraiser, and it was me, about 8 to 10 of my homies. We're chilling around, we're shooting the shit, right?
Right.
And then my homeboy Wolf, he's one of the original guys from my neighborhood. He starts telling a story about some gang that they're no longer around, but how the guy came up to him, tried to come at him stupid, and then after he told him, "Oh no, homie, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you." I said, "What'd you tell him, Wolf?" "Fuck you." Boom. Started that little gang war right there, right? I said, "Fool, why didn't you just tell him, all right, homie, no harm, no foul." You know what I mean? But that's how gang wars start that easy.
Right.
It's just something so small that there's a lack of communication. We don't know how to back down, and we don't know how to take an apology.
Right.
We don't know most of the gang wars are over some chick, homie.
Right.
Some chick that right now got about 10 kids and is married to some other enemigo by now that you were trying to
Right. And our to remind me when you ask me about what else that you guys do, we actually have a stage, in the schools. We go to the stage and sometimes we play out these things that might happen with the kids. Or some role play. What happened to this? Some role playing of how it's gonna happen, and everybody's to 100 because when somebody says, "Man, fuck you." Kind of 2 things go to your mind. Oh damn, this was dissing me, and then your blood level goes up. You start clenching your fist, or you get your cuete or whatever, and it's a wrap. How do you go down from 100 to like 65? 65, homie. Can you go down to 65? So I start teaching these kids these methods on how to go down to 65 as soon as somebody analyzes you. I tell them, look, sometimes look at it as if somebody comes and wants to sell you a pile of shit. You're not gonna say, "Simon, I got it."
Yeah.
You're gonna like, "Hell nah, homie."
Yeah.
Chale. If somebody wants to sell you something like a car, you're gonna check that out. You're not gonna say, "Simon, where are the keys?" and boom, let's go. You gotta analyze the situation. Instead of analyzing the situation when you're behind the police car, handcuffed, and all of a sudden you want to talk to your higher power. You haven't talked to your higher power in a minute, but you want to talk to your higher power. You start thinking about your jefita, and you start saying, "Damn, I messed up," But right there, you're not at 65, you're like at 35 miles per hour, right? You're really aguitado about the situation.
All of a sudden, you want to call mama, and get bailed out and shit.
Yeah, man.
Hey, what's up with the Nikes, homie? You got the
no, dale.
All right,
I was gonna bring the Nike Cortezes, homie.
Cortezes, homie. I saw a couple of articles, and they were kind of saying that was your guys' shoes, and I was like, wait a minute, homie, I gotta push back on that now. Wait a minute, homie. You saw that one, right?
Right.
So what was your guys' take on the Nike? See, look at this homie. Yeah, those were our zapatos. Nah, but you saw that report, right?
I did, man, and I actually did an interview with that. It was from a newspaper in, I think it was in New Zealand somewhere.
Oh, wow, okay.
They wanted to know about the connection between the Nike Cortez.
You said, yeah, we started it. That was the whole piece. Yeah, I started it. That's it.
No, I told them that the Nike Cortez it's LA culture. You know, it's LA culture. It was there when, you know, all kinds of barrios started wearing the Nike Cortez. You know, it didn't come from one. It didn't come from one barrio. From what? 1972 when it came out. Yeah, 1972 when it came out. It's a track shoe. It's a running shoe.
You know, Kris Jenner wore him. Caitlyn Jenner.
That's what made him popular. Caitlyn made him popular at the Olympics.
Yep, the 84 Olympics, I think it was.
Le decían el cortaron los huevos, güey.
Oh, man.
Le cortaron los huevos de la clica, carnal. Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner made him famous.
I don't know. Another generation might say it's Forrest Gump.
Hey, you ain't lying.
You ain't lying.
The new generation. I saw it on the internet. It was Forrest Gump.
No, but that was Forrest Gump was after. No, but the Nike Cortez, and it's actually a track shoe.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's a track shoe, man. I remember getting blasted with the Nike Cortez. That you could really have some fences with. They had some feet in the teeth. They got some feet in the teeth, boy. And then everybody started wearing it. But yeah, now. But to answer the question, it wasn't one gang that started. Everybody had the Nike Cortez, and apparently now people are not gangbang wear them. I was jokingly, I called out. Gil was on live, and I was on Thursday, and I always listen to these guys over in Colorado, and I'm gonna call Gil, man, because I was packing my bag to Colorado. I'm gonna fuck with Gil a little bit. I told, hey dog, I'm packing my stuff up to come to LA. I'm thinking about packing my Nike Cortezes. Are they safe to wear now?
That's something that don't even trip, man. Every white boy out here wears those things nowadays.
Yeah, man.
Well, you can wear the Cortez if you put the high socks on. Then you might have problems.
Then you might have problems with the high socks, right?
Once you put those two together, you gang banged out, carnal.
I should have brought them. I got them right there in my hotel room. But now I look at it. I look at the Nike Cortez, and it's more than a culture. I really look at those shoes and so many memories, right? Because sometimes when you could identify so many memories with a Dodger jersey, you know, a North Hollywood shirt, a LA hat, you know, a chain that somebody gave you. You know, when I look at the Nike Cortezes, and then you put the oldies to kind of trigger those imagination and stuff. Yes, you go down on memory lane, homie.
You put the belt buckle with the letter, and some put like a 10 letters. Come on, fool.
Yeah. Get your Modelo, and you're just cruising around the house.
You know what it is, dude. Get not gangbanging. Get gangs, right? Mm-hmm. Take out the guns, take out the fights, take out the drugs, the drama. When you get to the core of it, it's just a bunch of homies. It's just a bunch of friends. Yeah. We really are no different than a college frat.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's just we were raised different, built different, and we started fighting one another.
Right.
But like you guys, man, you guys were quote unquote my enemies.
Right.
Back in the days, you guys ain't my enemies, homie. You guys are my homies, carnal.
Right. Likewise, dog.
And that's what we gotta kind of convey to these young guys. Hey, homies, we don't gotta kill each other to say like me and him. We're enemies back in the days, right?
Right.
So it doesn't mean that I love my neighborhood more because I'm trying to kill one of his homies.
Right.
No, it means I love my neighborhood more because I'm trying to make peace with the guy because that way his kid ain't gonna be in a gang, my kid ain't gonna be in a gang, and we're trying to slow this thing down slowly but surely. Like you said, it took a while to get where we're at.
Right.
It's gonna take us a while to get out of this thing, but hopefully, eventually, with people like you, with homies like this, we can eventually start getting out of this, man. Or I hope so, at least.
No, yeah, homie. You know, it's definitely the circle that it's about staying away from the criminal behavior and the criminal activity, so you won't be locked up.
That's what it is. Homie.
And not to knock on the people that are locked up. I know there's a lot of homies right there that are doing life, and they're doing life already. So they do what they do. That's their thing. You know what I'm saying? Pero like I said, none of them will want their kids to be sold up with them. So I always look at helping somebody out, or somebody, in a very respectful stuff and the things that I do, and I don't think I'm better than nothing than anybody, dog. I just do me, and the people that ask for my help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. Most of those guys that are doing life in prison, they will tell guys getting out, dude, don't come back over here.
Right, exactly.
You have a second chance.
And that's the firme homie.
That's a
true homie. That's a firme homie.
That's a true homie. Yeah. You always get that one that don't give a fuck, but that's anywhere. But that's
right.
But the majority of guys, even when I speak to homies that are doing life, homie, they look at the life that I'm living, they kind of live into like, dude, I'm so glad you're doing that shit. Like, fuck, I wish I would have done that.
Right.
But that's just not the route. But most homies, even those homies, shout out to all the homies in the joint, man.
Right.
That are in the struggle. Most guys wish they could get out. Most guys wish they knew there was a door. And You, I, boo, we can walk you to the door.
Right.
But it's up to you to open that door to change your life.
Yeah, that's true, though.
And it's a hard part. What do you think is the hardest part about trying to get out the hood, man?
It becomes an addiction lifestyle. When I play Little League Baseball and, whatever my
Little League Baseball?
Yeah.
Today?
What's up?
Today?
Not right now, dog.
He's the ringer.
I should have been in the major leagues if I didn't start gangbanging.
Hey, who's this guy? Oh, he's 14. He's from Cuba. Here comes. He's a 14-year-old player from Cuba.
Here's my birth certificate, man. I got my birth certificate. No, it's not 78.
It's a Dodger.
They're like, put him on the team. The Dodgers, if you're watching. Dodgers. Let's win this World Series, dog. I got you. Put me on, dog. Put me on, man. But I guess it did sound like.
Yeah, you're like, I play Little League Baseball.
My D kind of faded away at the end. I played, if you will, for the people taking the shots. They gotta take the shot. That was a shot.
I also really take a shot.
No, but oh man! But I played Little League Baseball as a kid, and man, I had pride in my suit. I couldn't wait to play. I was with my ball and my baseball in the mirror and everything, and that was my addiction thing because I put so much passion into my team, and I wanted to be the best player there. Yeah. I wanted to do a home run. Then the funding ran out, and there was no more Little League Baseball in Ardmore Park right there, and I kind of started gangbanging. Yeah. So little by little, I got the dickies, I got the corteses, got the tattoos, looking at myself in the mirror. So I put passion into it, right? Yeah. And then that became my addiction lifestyle, like if it was my baseball team. Now, to get somebody out of the gang, or whatever, change their lifestyle, there's people that could continue to be successful without getting out of the gang, right? There really is. Yeah, there really is people that continue to do that. But how long did you walk that walk? So it takes time to break those cycles. I'm not saying that wearing this clothes and flaunting is gonna get you locked up or get you in. It really depends on what is it that you're doing. Mm-hmm. But if you're going down a different road where it's gonna get you locked up, it's about breaking those behaviors. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So once you start breaking those behaviors and seeing what works for you, sometimes gangbanging does teach you, how to recommend people to get in a gang. Let's get that shit out the way. Let's get that shit out the way, if you will.
There's always that one who say, look, he's
the feds are like, oh, motherfucker, we got you.
Keep the recorder going.
But sometimes it taught you orgullo, it taught you pride, it taught you different things, but sometimes the homies used it in different ways where it got them locked up.
Of course.
I kept my orgullo and I kept my pride, but it was for different things that I was doing también. You could have orgullo, you could have pride. Yes. It doesn't mean that you have to be walking down with your head down or thinking that, you're not a somebody. You have to think that you're always, that you're worth something. Absolutely. That. And if you take that with you, man, imagine if you get a jale and you act like that. Walk into the jale and act like, Simone, I'm going to handle this shit today, homie.
And you take care of
business. Got this. You take care of business and you work up that ladder and say, Simone, I could be the manager. Mm-hmm. And you have that same energy from when you dressed up and you walk down with that energy and that pride down your barrio. Have that same thing and that energy when you're having that jale. And wake up and when you bounce out of bed and say, hell yeah, the same way that you bounced out of bed and say, hell yeah, it's Friday night, I'm going to the hood. Yeah. Bounce out of bed the same way. Hell yeah, I'm going to go to this jale and I'm going to handle this stuff.
That's right.
Right? So you have to keep that same energy and keep it 100 when you're doing that. And you're going to see how successful you become in life.
Yeah. Homie. I tell homies this, man. I said, listen, man, give yourself 30 days. Stay away from the hood. Go to work. Take care of business. Your old lady's going to be much happier than you. You're not going to be fighting all fucking day. Your mom's going to be much happier. You're not going to be fighting. You're going to live a much less stressful life. You're going to see good things will happen. You start doing shit, you're going to fucking get full of shit. Man. This is a good life. You can still live. We're chilling right here.
We're chilling.
We're homies. We could have a cerveza. We could chill. Except what it is a lot of these guys want to burn it out and party all day long and do all that. Right. But at the end, when it's time to pay the piper, you're in jail and you're losing more time. I'd rather just take it slow.
Yeah.
Have a good time and enjoy life, man.
Yeah, it's because I remember we used to. Es que nos vamos 100 en todo. We go 100 in everything. You know, we
100
can't
miles
drink.
an hour.
Sometimes, you know, back in the days, I couldn't. I wanted to party the whole night.
Yeah.
Everybody's, why you leaving, homie? Let's keep going. It's the same day.
We're on the
Party.
block, homie.
They're like, damn, that fool Klever's still up, dog. He's still partying, right? But you know, exactly like you're saying, you put that energy and you put that that 100 and do it into something, you know, successful. Now you're helping your jefita to pay the rent, you know,
pay bills.
or
Feels
pay
good,
bills.
man.
I mean, it feels.
good.
I mean, that's respecting your jefita. You know, that's doing that. And I started thinking all the time at barrio, because everybody knew that she was my mom, so nobody would turn at her, nobody would whistle when she's walking down the park. Everybody knew that's Klever's mom, right? And yeah, man, but it was that type of respect with you know, with different things like that, you know, and you know, you start, but at the same time, when I was getting locked up and being behind the police car and her having to visit me, then I feel gacho, you know. I started seeing, man, you know, low key, you know, no disrespect for, you know, the gente in there that their family goes to visit them, or no disrespect like that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, when I was in juvenile hall or whatever and visiting me, now that I'm older, I started seeing, you know, that was a little low key, where I wasn't being as respectful, you know what I'm saying, to her, but I was really worried.
You're breaking her heart.
That, yeah, you know, you're breaking her heart and everything. And, you know, it's some shit, you know, but, you know, even to help homies out, I mean, I think family connection between the homies that are locked up, you know, and, you know, for them to be getting more visits, more contact visits, more time, more visits with their familias, to build that bond, for them to build that bond with their kids también.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, because there's homies in there that haven't seen their kids in years, dog, and these kids are teenagers, and sometimes they rebel because they don't have a jefe, you know, or the dad's not there, so they go out to the barrios to figure. Sometimes they find good role models, and sometimes they don't. But you know, we also have to find a way on how to get better connections between the prisoners and the familias right there, you know.
So we're gonna start wrapping this thing up, man. What do you got going on, homie? You gonna make a movie? You gonna play for the Dodgers? What's up? We'll talk to me.
Did you say play for the Dodgers?
That sounds like a good idea.
Hey, I take it you're a Dodger fan?
Yeah, right.
Oh man, you know, I just, you know, it's not that I'm this vato or this and this and that, you know, but I don't really accept, you know, sometimes I do interviews, you know, I see the gente, you know, like, you know, and go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it took a fucking year for him to get back to me. You know that, right?
Oh,
it took a year for this. I got at this for a year. No, by now it's been about a year and 8 months. It took a year.
Blame the pandemic.
No, that was pre-COVID.
No, before the pandemic.
That was
He's like,
pre-COVID.
American Cholo. Wait, I'm going to Mad TV. It was in the spam. It was in the spam, right?
No, it was a trip because I saw it and I got a gang of those things. They come to my podcast, but I start seeing what they want to talk about. What do you want? Oh, how? Tell me all the
They wanna
gang.
memorize the
Yeah,
shit,
they want to. Tell me all the violence about MS13. I could tell you how to humanize a homie.
That's right.
I'm not here to you know, for other stuff. But they want me to talk out of the side of my neck. You know what I'm saying, dog? But yeah, I was on YouTube late at night again. Me and my YouTube things. Trying to figure out how many if you wills I said. You know, counting them like sheep, right? Trying to go to sleep. Yeah. But then I saw you talking to Young Beeves.
Okay, yeah.
And you guys were, and you guys were talking about, and I'm not really on YouTube. When I see YouTube, it's just like listening to lowrider oldies, chente, you know, kind of that stuff. And you guys were talking about YA, homie. And
YA babies, homie.
And I was like, there's no way I'm going to listen to this all the way through. I saw like the interview and I started listening like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like, damn. And this vato, Young, he was actually talking about the fucked up shit that he went through. The shit that he went through, homie. And he wasn't, you know, he wasn't super high power about it with the stories, but that kind of caught my attention. That, and then the way that you interviewed him, and the stilos mixed together, and then all of a sudden it was like an hour or something. I'm like, damn, I gotta go to sleep, homie. But it was a firme, entertaining thing, and that's when I started thinking, wait a minute, man. I remember, because American Cholos is very memorable. I remember this story from. I
remember email
from American Cholo. I remember the email, and then I think I hit you up the
year later.
No,
I hit you up a year later.
No, that was like the next day. That was like the next day. There was this thing that when Vlad hit me up, I wasn't gonna do that because I was already signed to you know, it had nothing to do with MS. No, they just wanted to or gang banging or nothing like that. They just wanted me to be a host of a TV series, you know. Right. And I was like, a host of a TV series, chingao. And then it kind of fell through. I was like, damn. I'm like, all right. So then I saw this Vlad stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll go on Vlad. But low key, I was there to say, because I know they're gonna be watching. They want to be a host, but I'm gonna go with my suit, dog. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what's up. Yeah. So I don't know what Vlad's editor was, but I kept shifting, dog. I kept shifting like this and this. So what was the most violent thing that you ever done in your life? Which I stand to that, okay? I stand to that, right? Still to this day. But low key, I was changing different ways so these people from the series could get different angles.
Different headshots, bro.
Hey, my homeboy laughing was there after the intro. He was like, "Damn, fool, you were moving a lot." You know, different headshots. And then I go to the comment section. I see this vato and everybody's roasting me. I was like, "Damn, dog, if you will." And then I get the phone call from the people because they were like, Gerardo. I'm like, what? We saw you on Black TV. We loved it. For real? You're like the only people that loved it.
Yeah. That's right.
But it worked. And then we got signed and it didn't really kind of fell through again. But, you know, it's a little bug that they put in my head. You know, nothing that, you know, what it is what it is. My main thing is, you know, to answer your question of what do I got going on is, you know, continue to help the kids from the neighborhood, whatever neighborhood they're from.
Of course.
You know, let's get that straight. Whatever neighborhood they're from, I'm there to help, and you know, that's what we do with Homies Unidos and whatever advice that it is, because I want them to share their story, you know, and that's what it is about. It's not about my story, it's about them graduating, going on to be whoever they're going to be in life, coming back to their own neighborhood, helping their homies out. Right. And, you know, we rise above together. There's no this that, you know, Klever made it or whatever. Gerardo Lopez made it, and he's riding off into the sunset, you know. You know, and I never feel like I made it 100% because you always want to strive to continue to be more, and when I do better, I think that the people around me, my organization, and the people that I'm helping, they thrive too, you know, and they're really the battery, and they're really my energy to strive as high as I can when I see them making good choices and changing their life around, you know. That's
right, homie. So give us our intro out pretty soon, Chris. I need you to give a shout out to your son and whoever else you want to shout out real quick, homeboy.
Yeah, so I guess shout out to my son Alan, my son. Hey, what's up, dude?
There you go, homeboy.
My kids are like, oh, you already messed it up. Shut up. Nah, but shout out to my son Alan, my son Andrew, you know, and to my brother Jesse and my homeboy Laffy over here. Now Laffy always, because I did the TEDx talk, and I always say I moved to a friend's house in Colorado. Then I did the Black TV thing.
Wait, take that intro out. I want to ask him a question. No, we're back. That's right. No. Wait a minute. You were on TED Talks.
Yeah.
You know what TED Talks is?
No.
No, it's above your caliber of thinking right now.
He's still thinking about, is this fool really play Little League?
Okay. He must be a monster on that TED team.
Okay.
He must be a beast.
This is how it works. You know how you heard of World Star, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. See, World Star is this part of like YouTube, right? Okay. And there's YouTube. TED Talks is up there. TED Talks is a very intellectual part of, I don't know if it's part of YouTube or their own thing, but TED Talks is it's a very intellectual thing where guys give their TED Talk.
Right.
You were on there. How does that work?
Yeah. So thousands of people.
You gotta check his TED Talk out.
So thousands of people fill out applications, you know, to give their talks potentially, and from those thousands of people, they pick about 14 each segment. TEDx talk is what I did. Excuse me. And they have about 3 or 4 a year. It happens like every 4 months. And I didn't feel nothing out. They kind of hit me up. I guess they saw me somewhere, somebody referred me, and they kind of were with the story, and they told me, hey, do you want to be in a TEDx talk or TEDx talk? So I started Googling, what is TEDx? You know, and I started seeing the talks, and I heard about it, you know, but not to the extent. And I was like, yeah, cool. All right, well, you know, next week, just put a story together, one pager. What is it that you want to talk about? So I kind of said, I don't want to do all that, you know, like, nah. I was like in a school, I was like the restorative justice coordinator right there doing my program. And they hit me up a week later también. And they hit me up a week later and they told me, hey, did you got your thing, your story now? Like, nah, man, I haven't. So they hit me up, okay, we're going to give you another week. So I started, you know, putting it together. And then I interviewed with them and they liked it. And I was like, damn, all right, cool. So I thought I was just going to shoot from the hip. But they give you a speaking coach también. They give you a speaking coach, and you just can't go out there saying the speech. You got to memorize it también. Like, I'll just go out there and read it from the paper. You got to memorize it. So I was like, damn, man. So I wrote the speech, and then they help you también with the speech. You know, maybe this way or that way.
The grammar, everything.
Yeah, the grammar. Put this is section here, section there. It's only really like a page and a half speech. You can't go in there with 5 pages.
Emphasize on this. Like,
yeah, emphasize on this, your voice tones, you know. So sometimes I get really energetic, you know, and sometimes I'm like, So they said as soon as, you know, when you're talking and you're talking about energetic stuff, hey, come out of yourself, doc.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come out of yourself. And when you're talking about stuff that's not so energetic, kind of like, you know.
That's right.
You know, talking about sad stuff, well, be sad. You know? And I was like, damn, there's no way I could do this, dog. And I told my son, because I was practicing for like a week, and I told my son, he knows a lot of rap songs. Hey, man, how do you remember all these songs? He said, just when you're reading them, just kind of sing them out, you know, out loud. So I broke my whole talk down and I pasted it around the house, like a few pages.
You still remember some of it?
Yeah, I could still. I probably still. You're not gonna put me to that.
Give me like 30 seconds. My name is Gerardo. I was once El Salvador, and I saw.
I'll try to remember as I'm talking right now, pero I'll try to, dog, but it won't be the same. Yeah. Pero yeah, so I was doing this, memorizing the whole talk.
Right.
And one day I just got it. I memorized it. So now it consisted of, okay, now I got to put the people in my bubble and have everybody feel my talk. Yeah. You know, I got to be floating in the damn thing. So so it was the day of the presentation, and you know, I don't really like to eat when I present in front of people, you know. So, but I only ate a few tostadas de ceviche in the morning, and I was up like at 5 o'clock. I was one of the last TEDx guys, and then the red carpet's right there, the spotlight's right there. There's 5,000 people.
Stage,
5,000 people, homie.
Oh, serious shit.
And the person that is just ending their TEDx talk, they're shaking hands and they're walking to me. And then the other people are waiting to call me. And as I get up out of my chair, doc, I feel dizzy.
Oh shit.
I'm like, oh, man, I feel dizzy. And everything sometimes starts to feel weak. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're having that dream where you're trying to run, but you really can't run, dog. Yeah. But the thing was that I studied this talk for 2 months, 8 to 10 hours a day.
Wow.
In my car, everywhere. You know, my son knew the TEDx talk because he was right there. And my son, as soon as I started, he was like, you might have known who I even forgot it. You might have heard about them in the news. They've been called murderers, violent, destructive, lawbreakers, and you know, and all that stuff. And my son will say the same thing, you know, like, oh, here comes this fool again. He knew it because I used to always practice it. But I practiced it so much, homie, and then I started remembering the way that I walked down my barrio, the pride that I had, homie, when I went to chill right there. So remember when I say that you could take that with you? I took that with me to that stage. Yeah. And claro, I wasn't like, we're going to go gangbang on these fools. It wasn't nothing like that, but I took that with me to the stage, and I strolled in that stage like I owned it, homie.
That's right.
And I stood right there, and as soon as I tried to speak the first words, it felt like I was whispering. I wanted to say it even louder, but I couldn't, dog. Oh, it's like when you're having a dream and you're trying to scream for help, but it's like, help. But I said it, and and the sleeves on my shirt was so tight too, I couldn't even lift my hands. It wasn't by purpose. It wasn't by purpose.
You couldn't get up.
This fool.
It wasn't by purpose, though. It just happened, homie. It just happened.
Yeah, like today, it just happened.
It just happened. But the talk happened, and halfway through the talk, I didn't really know what the hell was saying. I just kept thinking.
Going, huh?
I just kept thinking, God damn, I'm barely here. But I studied it so much that it became organic. And that's for all the young homies in the neighborhood, homie. Somewhat a pointer right there. Once you study something, once you do something, you put your whole effort. Don't be afraid to do what it is, to take that giant leap for you to prosper in life and do it. If you've been doing it and doing it and doing it, it's in you and it'll come out organically, homie. It's right there with you. Gonzafos, right? Gonzafos. And that's the way it came out. And it was going. And then I was just flowing. And at the same time, I was checking my voice levels, you know, the way I said something, you know, the way that I was, how many steps I took, because you can't leave the circle. And in the end, you got a standing ovation.
Yeah, I saw that.
And when I got that standing ovation, I mean, it was a firme thing. But I wanted and there was a lot of Homies Unidos kids. And I mentioned them throughout the talk. There was pictures, but I felt that standing ovation, I wanted to direct it to them, not to me. You know, because they were there, you know, and then, you know, I was telling Pete, then we had an after party, and when everybody knew that these were the kids and those pictures and the kids that I was talking about, hey, homie, there was lines
to meet them.
To meet them, dog. There was lines to meet them. And you could constantly see that pride and that orgullo right there, where they were talking about what the program was about. They were talking about their life stories. You know what I'm saying? They were talking about the changes that they were making in their life to help themselves, help their familias, and to help others. You know, and that's when I wanted to teach them that you could get respect, power, and pride in a firme way también, in a positive way. You know, and they carry that time also. And now I work at this school where they saw my talk, and they're building their own little TEDx stage.
Oh, very cool.
You know, where they want to do their own talks.
Yeah.
You know,
all right.
we will do a TEDx talk. Yeah. And you know, that TEDx talk, I've been blessed. It's had, you know, I don't know, like 3 million views or whatever.
5 point something million.
Oh, okay, 5 point something million.
Who's counting?
Nobody's looking at those numbers.
And from thank you. Gracias. Is that what it is? They're clapping. I thought they were whistling, but I see they're clapping. Okay.
Chris is clapping at you.
I like, what the girls are, who's whistling? But what was I at? That was it.
You were saying that.
Oh, yeah. My bad. What was I saying?
That he's going to be a TED Talk.
He's going to be a TED. Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's doing a TED Talk at the school that you're at.
Oh, yeah, the school that I'm at. And they're practicing their stuff to do that, you know. That's cool. And I sit on the so TEDx invited me to their council and advisory board. So now I look for speakers, you know, to see if they're good potential speakers or fits to do TEDx talks. Hey, we could.
What about this guy right here? What about this guy?
That's right.
I'll go on a rant. This ain't Theo TED Talk, boy. This is TED Talk. Oh,
but yeah, you know, and we're working with we could talk about it, but we're also working with the kids because I also want to get a kid up there to do you know, to do something like that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And,
That's great, man. Hit that intro. This guy didn't want to say shout out to his son, so I'll say shout out to Klever's son.
Right.
Shout out to all the homies from MS, all the homies from every hood, all the homies in the struggle. We're all one raza. We're all brown. Thank you guys for tapping in.
Right on. Gracias. Thank you for having us.
We out of here, player.
Right on.
That's it.
Nah, this is
See
good
you
shit.
next time.
There you go, brother. Let's do it.
Right on, dog.
Hell yeah. Shot that, boy.